Alright, let me tell you about one of the most delightfully absurd moments I've seen in recent TV. Picture this, a woman who's literally never been taller than 4'10" suddenly becomes an 80-foot tall force of nature, stomping through a miniature city while yelling at tiny buildings. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, that's exactly what happened to Melissa Rauch, the genius behind Bernadette from The Big Bang Theory, in Stuart Fails to Save the Universe. And let me tell you, this isn't just a random cameo, it's a masterclass in how to take a character's defining trait and turn it into a full-blown spectacle. Here's the thing, Bernadette has always been this fascinating paradox. She's tiny, but she's got this razor-sharp edge that can cut through anyone's defenses. Like, remember when she'd glare at Penny and say something so passive-aggressive it felt like a verbal slap? That's the kind of energy that makes her unforgettable. Now imagine scaling that up to a literal giant. It's not just funny, it's a metaphor for power dynamics. How often do we see people who are physically small being underestimated? This sequence flips that script in the most literal way possible. And honestly, I think that's why it works so well. It's like the show is saying, hey, don't let size define you, especially if you're a sorceress with a vendetta. But let's talk about the how here. Melissa Rauch didn't just show up and yell. She actually wore a motion capture suit and stomped around a miniature Pasadena. Can you imagine the logistics of that? They had to build an entire city just for her to destroy. And yet, she was thrilled. She told reporters she felt like a kid in a candy store, picking up tiny buildings and talking to miniature versions of the cast. That's the kind of joy that translates to the screen. It's not just about the visual effects, it's about the performance. She wasn't just acting, she was existing in this world, and it's wild to watch. I mean, how many actors get to play a giant destroying a city while still keeping their character's voice? That's a level of commitment I respect. And here's the kicker, this wasn't just a random plot device. It was a callback to one of Bernadette's most iconic traits, her ability to be intimidating despite her size. The writers didn't just throw this in for laughs, they used it to reinforce the character's essence. Think about it, when she's tiny, her threats are verbal. When she's giant, they're literal. It's like the show is saying, this is who Bernadette really is. And honestly, I think that's why fans are eating it up. It's not just a gag, it's a full-circle moment for a character who's always been underestimated. But let's not forget the human side of this. Melissa Rauch has spoken about how this experience left her with a weird side effect, she now wants to crush buildings in her mind. That's not just a joke, it's a testament to how immersive this role was. She wasn't just playing a character, she was living it. And that's the kind of dedication that makes a performance unforgettable. I mean, how many people get to step into a world where they're literally a giant? It's like a fantasy come true, and she's not just playing along, she's owning it. And let's not overlook the humor in the details. The fact that she had to pick up a tiny Barbie and talk to miniature versions of the cast? That's the kind of absurdity that The Big Bang Theory thrived on. It's not just about the scale, it's about the absurdity of it all. You can't help but laugh at the idea of a 4'10" woman stomping through a city she can't even see. But beneath the laughs, there's something deeper. It's a reminder that characters aren't just defined by their size, they're defined by their presence. And Bernadette, in all her giant glory, is a perfect example of that. So, what does this mean for the future of Stuart Fails to Save the Universe? Well, if this episode is any indication, we're in for a wild ride. The show isn't just paying homage to its roots, it's expanding them in ways that feel fresh and exciting. And honestly, I think that's the key to its success. It's taking the DNA of the Big Bang Theory and mutating it into something new, something bold. And if Melissa Rauch's giant Bernadette is any indication, that boldness is going to keep getting bigger. Who knows? Maybe next time, Bernadette will be tall enough to reach the moon. But until then, I'll just be over here, marveling at how a tiny woman became a giant force of nature, and how that's the kind of storytelling we need more of.